The other day I saw the speech from the singer Bono from U2 during the last TED event. And I was really amazed because he said that we were so close to eradicate polio from the surface of the earth. And I found it was amazing. And really, I couldn't help but imagine how the world would be such a better place if much more celebrities would come together and try to solve world issues. But the problem is that there are much more global issues than celebrities who are willing to use their fame for the good of society. And what I would like to share with you today is what can we do if we are part of the 99%? If we don't have really the influence, if we don't have a very nice voice, what can we do to change the world? But before I go there, I want to tell you a bit about why I started this adventure and a bit about my background. My parents are Vietnamese war refugee, and after the war, they escaped on the boat with the hope of a better life. And thanks for the support of the nonprofit, the Red Cross, we were able to relocate to Switzerland. I was really fortunate to grow up in Switzerland, and my only exposure until I was 15 to global issues such as poverty and hunger was things that I was seeing on TV. But looking on the screen was feeling like you were watching a movie, and it was hard to relate. And I wasn't so compelled to actually make anything to try to solve it because I thought, I couldn't do anything to make such big change. So, like she said, I went to Vietnam when I was 15 with my parents. It was the first time, and I was able to see poverty with my own eyes. And what it made me realize, seeing those kids in the street trying to beg for money, was that I was actually quite close from that life. And the only things that separated me from that life was that the fact that my parents took a boat in 1980. So I felt really fortunate, and that really changed the way I saw the world. When I graduated from university, I felt a bit like a black sheep because around me, all my friends wanted to work for big companies and try to make a very good living. We're in Switzerland. Many people wanted to work for banks and this kind of thing. But for me, I had this kind of desire to contribute and give back to the society. But at that time, I was not so much familiar with the word social entrepreneur. So I was not so sure, what I could do at the time. So I started traveling, and I arrived in 2007 in Japan, where actually, yes, there was a big culture shock. But something that really marked me was the difference that we had in terms of donation made to the NPOs in Japan. This number is $5 billion in 2010. This is the amount that individuals have donated to nonprofit in Japan. But if you compare to the United States, this number is actually $220 billion, which is a massive difference. And I really couldn't understand how two countries that were so close in terms of GDP ranking had such a massive difference. After all, if you take into the daily life, $5 billion represent only $40 per person a year, and for the American people, it means they are giving $700 a year. So I started asking to my Japanese friends, how come there are such big differences? And they told me a couple of reasons. They said, first of all, there's not a big donation culture in Japan, and there is not really tax incentives. So, that's some reasons. Others told me, well, it's a religious matter. There was a talk about religion. Well, Christianity is not so common in Japan. And then it means that people are not so willing to donate when they go to the church and this kind of thing. And finally, other Japanese people said that, well, we are used that the government actually take care of the people in need. So the tax that we're paying to the government should take care of such issues. Well, I found myself a last reason, and it was the fact that in Japan, the number of non-profit organizations is actually very low compared to the United States. There's only 50,000 NPOs in Japan, whereas in the US, there are more than 1 million non-profit organizations. So imagine that's much less people who are trying to raise awareness about global issues and much less people who are trying to ask for donation from the people. So I try to challenge myself, and I try to find a way, how can we increase the number of people who are not so much concerned about global issues in a way that would bring some massive change. And I tried to look for clues in the current world, and I saw that there were things like concerts that became charity concerts. So basically, mixing entertainment and fun to social contribution was a way to go. Others like to do sports, and some people run marathon, but some other people also organize some charity run. But you know, I'm not really a runner, and I'm terrible at playing music. Actually, I'm better at playing video games, and I'm myself a gamer. Sometimes I think I play a bit too much. But how could I justify to my friends, to my parents, to my girlfriend that, you know, playing was something good? So that was a bit what I was trying to prove. With 1 billion players worldwide right now, and this represents more than 3 billion hours played every week. That's huge. Well, you know, it's not necessarily a waste, I want to say, because that represents more than $76 billion that are spent, that's going to be spent this year. So I think that there is a way, maybe, to try to take a bit of that money and try to use for the good of society. I believe that, you know, there should be a way for connecting games with the social world. And corporation like Zynga actually taking the lead. I don't know if you're familiar with a game called Farmville, but it's a game where you can actually spend your money into building a bigger farm, and you can actually spend your money to actually contribute to society. How it's done is when there was an earthquake in Haiti in 2010, players were able to buy some virtual items that could be used in the game, but this money will be distributed to the nonprofit that you see below. And until this day, more than $30 million have been donated to nonprofit organizations. So that brought some kind of very important change. What am I doing in this whole thing? I like to call myself a social gamificator. So if you're not familiar with the term gamification, I like to describe it as the art of turning something that is boring and troublesome, such as making donation, into something that is more fun. So my attempt is to enter the crowdfunding platform. You saw this super amazing platform, Catapult, earlier. They made actually quite an excellent video. I wish I had the same. But actually, I would say it's quite close to what they are trying to accomplish. There are non-profit organizations right there who are presenting the activities, and they explain, you know, what they need, and then the user go to the platform and decide how they want their money to be spent, and also how they can contribute. Even if they don't have money, they can still share their projects to their friends on Facebook and Twitter. But the thing that we have, I would say, a bit innovated is that we added the game elements to it. So that when you make a donation or where you share a project to your friends on Facebook, we would actually give you some points. And those points could be used to get some reward. So you could be receiving some reward from nonprofit organization. Maybe they would start with giving you a t-shirt. But really, if you're a very super active donor, maybe they could invite you to see the projects that they're doing with your own eyes. And something that we also innovate is that we try to connect those projects with corporation. You know, corporation now try to do a bit of what they call corporate social responsibility, and we try to do the matching between corporation and nonprofit organization that are on our platform. But I think, you know, we can do much more than this. I think that what I showed right now until now was mainly, you know, virtual in the gaming industry. But I think that in the future, there should be a central platform that measure all the activities that you are doing that are social into one social profile that you would have online. So you could be, for example, of course, donating, going to charity concert, maybe donating some blood to save your life, life of the people, And the points that you would collect would actually reward you, just like, airline loyalty program. The more you would contribute to the society, the more of a higher kind of status and opportunities you would have in life. So I think the future is really about building a market of, engaging people to do change. I think I talk about nonprofit and the game sector, but I think that nonprofit should also talk with corporation. I think corporations have an advantage to discuss with nonprofit. Sometimes they can find some ideas about how they can reduce their CO2 emission, for example. And for the corporation, it's definitely a way to reach more people through corporation who already have a massive distribution channel and who can communicate with millions of consumers. So what I have done today, presenting the different ideas, is, I believe, a very small step for mankind. But I believe that it's going to grow, and I think that the more there will be players who are socially conscious, I think the more we will be some impact in this world. So I want to really finish with saying two advice, one for the nonprofit and one for the gamers. So for the nonprofit, try not to avoid the word business and games. I think you have a lot of things that you can learn from these two kind of sector, and a lot of benefits that you can get by trying to work with them. And finally, if you are a gamer like me, keep cool, just keep on playing, but make sure that you choose the right game. Thank you very much.